The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
On this week's episode, we took a break from the Second Kings narrative to discuss some free-flowing topics. The conversation started with cultures and their religions, and it expanded to the individual journeys we all go on as Christians. Join us for this impromptu dialogue, and I hope you find it fruitful. And as always, be blessed and enjoy.
All right, so welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay.
and Earl Roberts the second. But hopefully everyone had a great week. We are in person this week, naturally, as you can see. I don't even know why I said that. But
Well, if you know the people who listen via streaming,
that
they
is
wouldn't
true.
know. Yeah,
That is true. I always feel like the chemistry is better when we in person, but thank God for technology because every week we ain't allowed, well, not allowed, but it's more feasible than not to record on Zoom some weeks.
you make it sound like it's illegal.
Oh man, that's a conversation. Like, man, even with your recent trip to Dubai and just like all the arguments right now between Christianity and Islam, it's just like we could take for granted how good it is that we don't have that we have religious freedom.
Yes.
Put it that way. Like, man, like you go to some of these other countries, like traveling is good, it exposes your mind, but when you actually see some of the things these other nations are subjected to or laws that they are under, you're like, man, we have it better than we know over here. Like, and it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing because, like, man, I take it for granted a lot because if you don't know any other way, you think your way of life is normal for everyone in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how, because we as human beings are so self-focused, even beyond what we realize on a day-to-day basis. And then you really realize that, there are whole other people and nations where Christianity is literally illegal. Illegal, like it's mind-blowing.
Yeah. No. So I was telling you a story. I was sitting waiting to board my flight. I came across this dude. He was Palestinian. He grew up in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Very friendly dude. He he was telling me a lot. Like he was teaching me a lot about the culture, what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Passionate about jewelry and stuff. And I was telling him how I am fascinated to see like just various cultures. Like I was telling him I was just in New Orleans the week before. Now I'm going to Dubai, and so funny, bro. Like, people in Florida, you could have the same type of persons, same echelon, and they speak different. Their mindset is different. What they like to do is different, and it's all in one country. That's fascinating to me. And I'm like, so when I go to Dubai, I was telling him when I go to Dubai, it's going to be a whole different experience because now I get to, just observe this culture and these type of peoples. And I turned around. I was so excited about it. I turned around and I asked him if he had ever been to Tel Aviv because we were supposed to go to Tel Aviv first, but it was too complicated. The prices wasn't. I had a time frame in which it was best for me to travel, which was September. It's best for me to travel in September, but the prices and stuff. It just didn't work out for for us to go to Israel. Tel Aviv is a city in Israel.
Israel.
Right. And
Keep going.
And so I said that to him, and his demeanor changed. I could see that he kind of got uncomfortable with me asking this. And this was ignorant on my part. But he turned around and say, yeah, if you went to Tel Aviv first, they wouldn't allow you to go to Dubai. He said if you go through customs at Dubai or any Islamic country and they see that stamp, they're gonna deny you entry. And he said that definitively. Now I did research and you get mixed reviews on that. But he told me that he had family members that when they went to Tel Aviv, they got completely different passports in order for them to visit Islamic countries after having visited Israel. News to me. News to me, bro. I'm like, yo, two cities that are not actively at war with each other. I'm thinking cool to go. Like I would never have known that if this country that is a Jewish country, right? And there's tension between Jews and it's certain Jewish nations or areas and Islamic areas or whatever. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of history behind that. But I would have never have thought that if they see the stamp, me being a Bahamian man from the Bahamas, bro. You understand? I'm neither Jew nor Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Like just world traveler. You know, I didn't know that it would have been viewed that way. So you see, like it got kind of real for me. So now I'm like, he then told me, yo, don't be trying to talk no religion and thing over there. I would have never done that. But I guess
he say, buddy.
He said, "Wait, if you coming on to me like this, let me warn you first, bro.
Let me let you know where you really going.
Real talk.
It's touristy, but buddy,
we draw a hard line in our religious belief. You know what I'm saying? And we don't cross out for no one. You know, but you know, it had me thinking about the people who can't. It's illegal in Islamic countries to be converted from Islam.
Yep.
That's a fact, you know what I'm saying? And so it had me thinking about some of the liberties that we have in the Western world that we think is normal all throughout the world. I would have never considered that, bro. Like people say stuff like that. You know, people, you might get an article on the eastern side of the world, they're like, oh, these people arrested for preaching Christianity, this and that. I'm thinking this is very specific instances. Like, oh, like when the man went to this tribe off of the coast of India. It was like a remote island. It's like y'all know y'all was breaking the law. You know what I mean? Even to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, bro. Like I feel like it became a little more real. Me going over there because that's the first time I went anywhere outside of the western part of the world, right? Me going over there and even having that reality check, you know, it really taught me that everywhere is not like the United States, and it kind of. I was excited to go to Dubai because like I wanted to go to an old area of the world because that has ancient history. Like I'm not saying they old. Dubai is a very new city, you know what I'm saying? But it like has very ancient history, you know, that area. And it helped me to understand why the United States is the way it is. Because when you know the Europeans, the British people, when they first came to America, their whole thing was that we just left a place where church and state was united. We're not doing that again. You know what I'm saying? We're free here, quote unquote. That's why we call it a free country. It's like, that's why it's like justice for all, like freedom of speech, religious beliefs, all of these things. Like over here, church and state would be completely separate. But then you go to a Rome, you know what I'm saying? You go to Islamic countries, you go to Israel, these places, their religion is a part of their culture. You cannot separate it.
That's a fact. I mean, and think about it too, right? And it's debatable. Like we know why the founding fathers. I don't even know if we get on this topic, right? But we know why the founding fathers. We know why the founding fathers set up America the way they did, right? But when we look at the Bible, the parts of the Bible we are now, your culture and your religion was almost inseparable.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a part of who you are.
And I agree. And so this like it really was like it really helped me to understand that where I live, bro, where I grew up, and I'm saying America. I live in the U.S. now, but we always been a part of the continent of North America. Like that's just the region where our country lies. And so this area, it is the Bahamas. We pride ourselves on being a Christian nation, but you could be any religion in the Bahamas. For the most part, I think, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we have religious freedom.
We have religious freedom, you know, but that is not usual. when I go to Mexico, bro, a lot of people are Catholic, bro.
One shot.
You understand what I'm saying? Like the random dude offering you tequila, bro. You look at his key ring and he has the Virgin Mary on there, or he might have a tattoo of the Virgin Mary, bro. Like that is a part of their culture, bro. I feel like it helped me to understand that this is not my experience of church and state being separate. My whole life is not the majority of the world. Like
It's not.
like our Indian neighbors, they're Hindu. You understand what I'm saying? Like most Indians that I have ever met, bro, Hindu. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's like you can see how religion and culture is married throughout the rest of the world. And I do agree that I feel like that's how it should be in a perfect world where everybody serves the one true God.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no, you know what I'm saying? There would be no separation. That's your whole vibe.
Yeah, because when you think about it, right, you just think about different nations now, and you literally could, like you said, you think about India, you think about Hinduism. You also have Sikhism, you have Baha'i, but you really think about India, you really think about Hinduism. You think about China, you think about Buddhism. You think about Japan, you think about Shinto. You think about the whole Middle East, you just think Islam. You know what I'm saying? You think about Europe, you think about Christianity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think about Africa, they have a plethora of different religions.
I'll be honest with you, I can't pinpoint one specific thing.
Because part Africa, Muslim, part Christianity, other parts
spiritual,
awakeness.
Yeah.
So, but think about that. You literally can identify some nations just by a religion,
That's true.
that ain't that. The funny thing about it is like the freedom of religion concept is a more of a new concept when you could argue how old America is. That's how old it is, right? But it's a newer concept. And you see in many countries around the world, they still have even if they don't want to call it church and state marriage, you still have your culture is heavily influenced by your religion. They're almost inseparable. Like the Japanese culture is influenced by the Shintoism, and you got the whole samurai and stuff. You go to China, bro. I was looking at some of the tallest statues in the world. I ain't talking about buildings. You know how much of them is like these Buddha looking people, bro. I gotta say,
they have some very big Buddha statues.
I'm talking about like bigger than the Statue of Liberty, bro.
Yes, bro. They have, I didn't know that. But they have very multiple, big Buddha statues. That's actually kind of like kind of creepy to me, bro.
Multiple, bro. Big, like we are ants compared to this Buddha. But yeah, but we digress. But
one more thing I want to say.
Go for it.
One more thing I want to say about it, bro.
I like these minutes in the podcast. I ain't even gonna lie.
I do too, bro. And it's funny because you had a whole different point that you was gonna start with.
I still might say it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So, but like, bro, like you remember we was talking about like even names in certain countries, bro.
Bing. Yep.
Bro, like when I went to, I had a friend whose first name is Maria, but nobody called her Maria, and she didn't like the name. And one day it was like, why don't you like the name? You know what I'm saying? And she's like, bro, because everybody, the majority of women in my country's name is Maria. Like that's their first name. And so it's like, she likes her middle name or a second part of a given name because it shows her individuality, right? And I wondered what, to me, I really wondered why did everybody name Maria? But in the Bahamas, you know, we share, a lot of people name Vano and things like that. You know what I mean? Like certain names are just very common. Fox, right?
Correct.
And so, when I went to Mexico, I came across a lot of people named Jose. And so one day I Googled it. I say, what does Jose mean in English? And it said Joseph. And obviously Maria is Mary in Spanish. Jose, I wouldn't have get that too, even though it's very similar. It's like the EPH, like, you know what I'm saying? I just wouldn't have put it together. But I really, so like it really hit me that a lot of Spanish nation, because the Catholic influence, Mary and Joseph, they just named everybody's named after biblical figures like that. You know what I'm saying? Then when you get to Islamic countries, I met a few people named Muhammad. Some people first name, some people last name, some people first and last name. You understand what I'm saying? Muhammad, like straight up. And like, now we belaboring a point now, but it really just goes to show how like culturally, bro, like their whole vibe, bro, their whole aesthetic, bro, Muslim, like we starting or Christian or whatever have you from your name, bro. From your name, dog. Like everything about you, bro, is is this thing. Never forget it, because you can't. How could you separate? You know what I'm saying? With your beliefs, that's a part of who you are. You know.
Yeah, you really can't separate it. And yeah, it's really crazy when you think about it.
It's kind of dope though. I admire that though.
Go for it.
Like I have always been a proponent of church school because I do not. I find it beneficial for like-minded people to grow in environments where they can be sharpened by other like-minded people. When we went to Bahamas Academy, that's an Adventist school, but the way Bahamian schools are structured, a lot of times it's based on convenience, based on price of school fee, how close it is. Like a lot of people that we went to school with, they were not Adventists, and that they just because they was in the neighborhood. I graduated from a Pentecostal school because it was in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't until I went to Oakwood when the overwhelming majority of people that I was around were Adventists. So on Friday night, we get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to explain to somebody why I'm not doing something tonight. And if somebody invites me to do something that infringed on what I wanted to do, I would say no. And it just understood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I met people that were passionate about, bro, like just being real, bro. This is a real youth podcast, bro. I met people that were Christians. I met young men that were proud of their virginity, bro.
Fox.
Bro, that's the first time bro.
Yeah, that ain't a common thing.
No, that's not a common thing,
It's
bro.
not
Like,
a common thing.
I wouldn't say in the islands that's very uncommon, bro. Like, because young
get
men,
clowned for
they clown you for that, bro. It's like you get clowned at an age where it's like, bro, you shut off your virginity, bro. Like, why are you 13, 14, and you're all clowning somebody because of that, bro? Like,
peer pressure is a serious
bro,
thing,
it's a crazy thing, bro. But I met people like 19, 20, bro, and they very outspoken about that, bro. Like,
bro, and that's real. Anyway, yeah, I got.
See, but it's like, it's good peer pressure now. So it's like you peer pressure on the good side. So it's like if everybody is living right in this way, and I'm the oddball, now I'm inspired to live right in that way. You know? And so, but like imagine a whole country that's Adventist, bro. Like that would be crazy, right? That could get annoying too, though. It could get annoying.
Because I mean, like, until we get to heaven. Too much of a good thing ain't always.
That's true.
Because in everything you got the extremists.
For sure.
Because, like, I mean, the stereotype, Muslims are terrorists. Not all Muslims are terrorists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so like I don't like, granted, again, not all Muslims are terrorists. I don't want to like just chop it up and think I'm right. But like you have the extremists in everything. So now, and man, like it's a conversation I wanted to have too. I didn't really plan for it today, right? But it's like personal convictions now, right? Just because like, man, you could be convicted that you could grow your hair.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't have that conviction, I ain't sinning. For real, right? But now you have people who can push their personal convictions onto you. And now it's like, we believe the same basis, right? But your conviction ain't my conviction.
That's very true.
Like, you take this to the extreme now. That's good. That's more power to you. But that ain't my conviction just because I ain't doing it now. Now you're looking down upon me. Like I some type of heathen, man, buddy. That's your conviction.
Right. And it reminded me of that text. I can't remember if it's Romans or Colossians, but it's a text that a lot of people who try to justify Sunday sacredness, they say one person esteemeth a day and one person says all days alike. Let no man judge you based on a Sabbath day. I can't remember. I think I
Google it just now.
I think I'm mixing up. One man esteem it one day and another man esteem it all days alike. Basically, that's the gist of it. But the point I'm trying to make is Paul was even saying, bro, amongst us, and you know what's so funny about that? But that same text, Paul never gave a resolve, bro. Paul ain't never say, oh, the man who esteemeth one day is right. You see what I'm saying? Or the man that esteemeth all days is right.
Romans 14:5.
Romans 14:5. Now, be clear. My stance is not that this is talking about the 7-day Sabbath. They do not say this, the 7th day. You understand? Even if they say Sabbath, there's so many different types of Sabbath. This is weekly Sabbath. That's the 7th day. But then you had a monthly Sabbath. You had a yearly Sabbath. Then you had a bunch of other Sabbaths in between. The Passover festival is a Sabbath. The Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Tabernacles. You know what I'm saying? All these things are Sabbaths. You get the picture. I do not take that text as saying the 7-day Sabbath is the day that is esteemeth above the other. You know why? Because one man did not esteem that. God esteemed that day. He hallowed that day. You understand? So just to make that clear. But I believe that to be talking about the way people talk about the way people fast, you know what I'm saying? The way people Pharisees, they used to have extra Sabbaths on top of the Sabbath. So they might say, "Man, I keep in Thursday and Friday this week because that's how holy I am." You know what I mean? And so the Greeks, when they converted to Christianity, they had to deal with the Jews that were also converted to Christianity. And the Jews, they were more conservative in their beliefs, right? And so the Greeks, like Paul make it so I can just cut to the chase for y'all. You understand? I ain't making y'all a Jew in order to be a Christian. I can make y'all a Christian. Like,
Yeah, keep going. I can say what make me laugh after you're done.
all right. And so Paul was saying, bro, if y'all want to fast one day a week or every day this week, that's on y'all. But you can't be trying to make people feel guilty. You see what I'm saying? If they don't have the same type of convictions as you, that's to your point.
Man, what I was laughing about, right? Bro, like that same conversation right there, that one I just said, but that was like a big theological discussion in the church at the time. Like Peter was essentially saying, bro, y'all got to become Jew before y'all become Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Paul was saying, no, they literally had to come together and like had like discussion. Like this was like a big theological argument in the church at the time. Like this is when the church was new.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but they came together, talked about it, discussed it, backed it up by what they knew, and they say, okay, no, you don't have to become a Jew before you become a Christian. And it's just interesting too, man, because I like before you show up last week, me and Dominic was watching one of these videos, right? And the guy was essentially like in a playful way, he was trying to go to the history of Christianity, right? And so he started off from like when Jesus died or what's not, right? And then every time a disagreement happened in the church, essentially a new denomination or something come, right?
That's true.
His tagline was like, "You can make a denomination out of this." So that just had me rolling. He was like, yeah, so one person said you could be saved by this, you can make a denomination out of this. Yada, 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 you can make a denomination out of this. So when it come to like the Reformation thing, he said, you can make a bunch of denominations out of this.
For sure.
He was like,
for sure.
So that just really make me laugh. But yeah, man, like, and it goes to show like, and as the church grew, right, all these people became like, okay, have a certain method to do things. We become Methodists. Yeah, we don't like how y'all doing this. We could break away and become this. We could be Presbyterians because now y'all back away from doing this. So Presbyterians. Now we going over here. We need a revival. The church dead. Now we need a Reformation period. All right, now we can start doing this denomination pop out of this. But it's just because there's so much philosophical arguments and people not wanting to come together and give up what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say even give up what you believe. Like have a new understanding. Like imagine if you close-minded to the point that you become like I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you become almost hardened.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like the church shouldn't be scared to read the Bible for themselves and accept what it says.
That's facts.
And I feel like that's where a lot of the disagreements come. Because even like with Peter and Paul, like, all right, Peter had to give up what he strongly believed at the time because he found out through, iron sharpening iron through another fellow believer that what he was saying was wrong. But how I tell people is like the church is a hospital for sinners, right? But the church is still filled with imperfect people.
Mm-hmm.
But when we lose sight of that and we have our own pride enter the church now, that's when you have all these disagreements, arguments, infighting, and people leave. And instead of coming together and really trying to find a resolution, they just give up and say, no, because we could do our own thing. Now, I mean, shoot, we come... Anyway, I gotta let you...
No, I get exactly what you're saying, bro. And I have found that... So, I had a point where I started to dig very deep into things, bro. And sometimes it's diminishing returns. Sometimes I get lost in my research on certain things. And some things I do bow out and say, bro, I don't know if there's an answer to this debate. So you might have two denominations that argue one text, right? And one see it one way, the other see it the other way. And I read it and I'm like, bro, I don't know, bro. Like I look at other parts of the Bible, I try to piece it together. And for example, bro, like when we talk about this isn't a theological, this isn't a doctrinal thing, but the thought of Melchizedek. Some people believe that Melchizedek is, some type of angel or something like that. He never died. There was no beginning, no ending. Other people believe that's like poetic in how it's said, bro. I believe that he was a man, but that's just my beliefs, bro. Like if we take the actual text, there's room for both. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So however you learn, and I might be ignorant, then it might be clear that it's one or the other, but I just leave it at that, bro. I see why y'all land there. You know what I'm saying? But out of excluding all of the like vague stuff that we don't have an answer for until we get to heaven, a lot of disagreements have come because people have not unbiasedly ventured into the Bible. I just saw a debate online this week by these weren't really Christians, but these were people speaking on Christianity. This was on Twitter, X as they call it now. and a few people, this guy, he made a post saying that when people speak to their ancestors, their dead ancestors, it's not their dead ancestors they really speaking, implying that they speaking to demons or the spirits. And demons. And
check out our Witcher Endo episode, shameless plug.
Right. And somebody responded what would we talk about at the Witcher Endo? They was like, wait till y'all see that Saul contacted a medium to speak to Samuel. And a few people had that same sentiment as to say, like, they're debunking this ancestor talk, like to say, hey, if we talking to demons, right, what's wrong with that? Because Saul did it, and then this was in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And in my mind, I'm like, bro, people are going to continue repeating that, bro. And I kid you not, bro. There was like 3 or 4 people with that same response saying that, and everyone who responded said, if only you read the whole story. They give no context. If only you read the whole story. But in my mind, I'm like, bro, this is easy. This is
to say. Like,
this is easy to debunk, bro. Like, all I have to do is give you the text in 2 Chronicles where it says Saul died because he concocted this thing. You know what I'm saying? Or if I give you another text that says how God feels about witchcraft, like I think it's Leviticus 20, bro. He talks about witchcraft like a few times in that same chapter, And a lot of people, I would hear Earl say something. Earl speaks with gusto. Earl is articulate and it impresses me. So I take that and memorize that and repeat that as gospel. Just because Earl say the Bible say God know your heart. Does the Bible say that, bro? Like, we know God knows our heart, right? But there's other texts that describe our heart. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and it's not in a good way, bro. As a matter of fact, even in Genesis, they say every inclination
of their heart
is evil. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but people would say, oh, God know your heart. God know my heart. We had a whole episode where we were saying, is this Bible or is this man? You know what I'm saying? And that's because a lot of people hear stuff. It's beautiful. Some stuff sound really smart. Like, they sound biblical, but it's not. And the only way you would know that is by actually venturing through the scripture and reading as much as you can, however many times possible.
Big facts. Like, man. When you really start thinking about it, bro, like, I was listening to, at this point, we probably just could be, this could be one of those episodes. Yeah. This could be one of those episodes where when the weekly thought just keep on rolling. But I was listening to a podcast the other week. Honestly, it's probably like almost like about a month ago now, right? And this guy was saying, like, man, a lot of Christians, he was saying a lot of people are scared to enter the debate or argue with someone of an opposing faith or a different belief because they feel like the person might be more appealing than them. Because he had a podcast platform, right? And he was saying, like, people saying, oh, you shouldn't bring this person on. People were saying, like, first of all, if you feel like the person has a stronger argument than you, then you should polish up on your arguments.
I agree.
If you know you have the truth, and someone else can challenge you on that truth, and you feel like you can lose the argument, you should polish up on your points.
I agree.
Because it isn't a them problem. You can't say, because if they did their research, they have their points locked in. You got to be able to have your points too. And I feel like a lot of people just scared to have the conversation in general because you know for a fact you don't have the deep knowledge, you just have the surface level knowledge. And if someone goes a layer deeper, you ain't prepared for that. I feel like that's a lot of Christians in general. Because remember, we were sitting at the table last week, right? I had to say something, right? And you might say, "Babe, y'all, I ain't do that much deep research on this. Don't quote me on this." But this, like, because I saying, "Babe, in the event." in the event y'all put my name on this and letting y'all know,
Right.
I ain't 100% sure on this here. I gotta do more research, right?
Yeah.
But that's my thing too. Is like a lot of people would hear someone say something while they're making a point, or like you listen to your pastors on Sabbath, or you go to church on Sunday, listen to your pastors on Sunday or Sabbath, whatever one you're doing. I ain't getting that debate right now, right? But your pastor is preaching a sermon with a message. The text he are using is to support that current message. Now, I'm not saying they could be out of context, but they could be in context but missing their context. I used to wonder why when I was growing up, people in the church was actually like write down the verses that was being said. Right? And I was like, but the pastor's saying it, but what y'all doing? Like,
Right.
what is doing extra work?
Screen, bro,
like what y'all doing, right? But like in my older, like more mature sense, now I see why. Because now they going back home and they're going to do further studying. They're going to actually read the context what these verses was in and actually figure out, because sometimes, bro, I've seen pastors unwillingly, well, I would say unwillingly, but probably like innocently, like saying a text to prove their point, but it was completely out of context. And if you actually said that text in context, you couldn't have used it for the point you was trying to make. But a lot of people is doing it with a lot of different Bible verses. And that's why it's so important to actually like know the context in which these verses are being said, because it quite literally changes the meaning of the verse. You know what I'm saying? And I know you had the perfect one with the filthy rags, as you know, like that
righteousness of filthy rags.
That like, and I just think it's really important. Like, and again, I'm not perfect at this. I still have to remind myself to do these type of things, right? And it's a blessing, like going through the podcast, having to read all these stuff in context, having to do doing different Bible studies and different devotional stuff. You're actually trying to read the Bible, read it in context, and get an appreciation of it. But again, the Bible is a big book, bro. Ain't everything you ain't gonna remember. You know what I'm saying? True. Like, man, how much times we say in this podcast, like, bro, I don't remember this.
Yeah, that's a fact, bro. My sister, my older sister Marisha, she was telling me a story in 1 Samuel, bro. And I know the story, but some of the details she was reiterating, I'm like, what? What do you mean? The Philistines killed all the armor bearers, so Saul and his son was the only ones. You remember Saul and Jonathan? They the only ones that had spears, because all the Philistines had killed all the armor, the blacksmiths, and right. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? I could not remember that detail. And I remember it was a story with David that you had said. It was a couple months ago, bro. You would remind me. I was like, what you talking about, bro? He was like, no, David did this. And I was like, oh, you mean that? He was like, no, bro, this. Yeah. And then you had to remind me. And then when it hit me, I was like, bro, I would have never remembered that story, bro. I wouldn't have remembered that, bro. Like, straight up.
And that's the thing, bro. It's like you have all these different stories, all these different timelines, all these different things bouncing around. It's quite hard. It's quite hard to keep track. It's quite hard to keep track. And so, like, and that's the beauty of the Bible. Every time you read it, you get a different understanding. How much times me and you, we would study for the podcast during the week, listen to it even on like Friday before we record, and we come in point, we're like, bro, I didn't realize this happened like this. Oh, this makes so much more different like sense now. You're like, bro, what's going on? So yeah, man, like to me, context definitely matters. I feel like I was on this long diatribe soliloquy on context, but I really think it matters. Like,
but I'll tell you this, bro. Writing sermons myself. It is very tempting, bro, to use a text that's saying exactly what you want to put right here, even if it's out of context.
I agree.
It's very, bro. I kid you not, bro. Like I'll be writing it, and like in my mind, I'd be like, bro, you can't use this, and so I wouldn't use it. But I would just wish that I could use. It's like when I write a song, and I could think of the killer bar, but it's someone else's bar. Like I had times when I had a friend who he's a rapper. He doesn't really put out music. But I heard him say a bar like 10 years ago. Like when we were in high school, and I remember the bar because it was so good. He probably don't even remember this bar. And now I writing and I in the same rhyme scheme, and it would benefit me so much just to put that bar there would otherwise go to waste. But it's dishonest. You understand? Like I steal in bars. It's like when comedians get mad when other comedians steal
their
their joke.
joke.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, you
yeah.
cannot do that. But in this regard, you could quote the Bible. That's what the Bible is for. That's the point of preaching it. But guess what? You can't quote. I can't use a text out of context to prove my point. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even think of a spot on example right now. If it come to me, I'll think about it. But no, that happens all the time.
Like a small example would be like, man, eating everything is good because when who was it?
When Jesus say it's not what goes in you that defiles you.
Not that one, the
Okay.
vision.
Oh, kill and eat when Peter had the vision.
Peter had the vision.
Mhm.
Killing everything I make is good or whatever. Like, no, don't call anything I make is unclean.
Common and clean, yeah.
But it's like when you read the context, you're like, oh, this have a completely different meaning. This ain't talking about food at all. This talking about like actually saving souls. Like, because Peter, again, you know the context. Peter didn't want to go to the Gentiles.
It's kind of racist.
You know, like Peter was very discriminatory. Yeah, but that's just the fact. Like, again, the church is made out of imperfect people,
Fact.
and that's the thing. And people have to remember, right? The church is made of imperfect people who trying to find God for themselves. And who quite honestly have a lot of pride and might be doing things wrong. But we see God himself to give Peter this vision in a way that he understood because these are unclean animals to him. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't eat these, right? Mm-hmm. But in representation to something you wouldn't do, I'm telling you to do, but not in the animal realistic. I'm just using it as a metaphor to actually get you to understand what I actually need you to do to help the church to grow. Mm-hmm. To put your biases aside and actually do what's best for me and the kingdom. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like to me, that's a perfect one that people take out of context all the time. And again, if you don't read the Bible for yourself, someone quote that verse to you, you don't know what it says, so you just go along with it. Oh, that makes sense. That's the best thing. I never had that before. And now you instantly lose credibility because for one, you don't even know what you believe. Now you can stand for anything and you easily deceive.
All right. I kid you not, bro. Like me.
Oh, cool.
No, go on.
But I heard a bar this week too, and it sounds so like simple, right? Mm-hmm. But this guy literally said like, when people believe the opposite of not believing in God is not the opposite of believing in God is not believing in God. But he said no, the opposite of not believing in God is that you will believe anything.
Oh wow!
And I was like, that's so true.
That would be the opposite, yeah.
I was like, that's so true, but you don't think of it like that.
No, because I was thinking this morning, bro, like, because I was telling you, bro, like, ever since I left Dubai, mm-hmm. I go to sleep at 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. I wake up at 5 a.m., bro. And no lie, bro, I feel like an adult, bro. Like, I feel like such an adult. I wake up, I pray, I read the Bible, I journal, bro. Okay. I journal, then I work out. Bro, and I do all of this.
All before 8 a.m.
All before 8 a.m., bro. Like, all before it's time to clock in at work, bro. Like, it's so crazy, bro. Mm-hmm. But I've been waking up early. What were we just talking about, bro? I just lost my train. I get so excited. Oh, I remember now. Yeah. I remember. And so I was writing down, like, worshiping God and also worshiping the universe. People, okay, so just a little tangent. Last time I used to journal, I had read this book, and the book was like talking about creativity and mm-hmm. saying how like when like you keep things trapped in your mind, they end up like they kind of like suppress itself in your mind. You got to free your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? So you journal so you can keep your mind, your creative juices flowing, right? Mm-hmm. But this book, the person always used to talk about the creator, right? And I was like, bro, that's so crazy, bro. We are creators. You know, we were created. You know what I'm saying? I read this book again after getting closer to the Bible, and I realized they use the word creator and the universe interchangeably. Mm. Like, they really do. They don't come out and say the creator is the universe, but they'll give credit to the universe for something, and then in another chapter, they'll give credit to the creator for that same thing. Mm. And I was just like, I can't believe I never realized this. And so while I was journaling the other day, it reminded me of that the universe. It reminded me of the universe. And I stopped and thought about it. I'm like, bro, people worship the stars in the sky, right? But then I really wondered, I'm like, bro, has anybody ever like heard from, like, what has the stars in the sky done to earn your worship? Like tangibly, what have they done? And if you could make that argument for any god, like, you know what I'm saying? But I know for a fact, bro, I've had miracles happen in my life, bro. Like things that could not, things that are very unlikely to happen that I've prayed and fasted for, and they came, and they ended up happening for me right on time, exactly when I needed it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I preach, stuff like that. So my faith in God is very strong. But I just wonder, like, how do people start off saying, bro, like, the sun, bro, the moon, the stars, bro, like, these planets and stuff like that, these are our gods. We pray to them. I get that they beautiful, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But it's like, how? And it kind of gets you to understanding that people, there's all type of beliefs out there, and there are different people that subscribe to these beliefs, bro. You could say, bro, nobody would worship animals, but then you can find a group of people that worship animals. You know what I'm saying? You could say nobody worship inanimate objects. You find a group of people that pray to idols, worship idols, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, the opposite of believing in God is not believing in nothing, bro. It's believing in what you say, man,
anything,
and it's believing in anything, bro. Bro, all type of philosophies come about, and people eat it up, bro. I remember it was bro. People make up their own stuff to confuse themselves, bro. I remember there was a man. I get very. I don't want to say gatekeep. I don't want to say like I gatekeep certain things, but I get very cringe when people are talking about like certain Christian elements. Like, I just feel like, bro, like, let's not talk. Anyway, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. There was this guy, a young man. He's a black man. I think he walked from New York City to Florida, right? Walked. And
that's a trot.
Yeah, that's a trot, boy. And he said the Lord told him to go on this journey. And the Lord told him, don't pack anything. Don't ask anybody for anything. The Lord is going to provide. So, yeah, people just get to seeing him walking. They see him walking, it's a long journey. People might just ask him if he need help, and he tell them his story. No, I can't accept your help. This and that. This man is in his right mind. As he started to cross other state lines, people started taking pictures of him, saying, "Yo, I saw her do it." You know what I mean? So he became a thing. He's going viral. When he sometimes he would stop and talk to people. They record him. They pray with him. All of these stuff, and some people start to say, "Bro, what if he's God?" People was in the comments, bro. What if he's God, bro? I love my people, bro. Like our people, like black people, bro. Sometimes they just make me scratch my head. Sometimes, bro. The dude was like, bro. But no, hold on, bro. The dude was like, what if he's God? Someone was like, what if he's God, right? And I watched someone else reply, he probably not, but what if though, for real though? Like, and they seriously was considering the prospect of this man being God, bro. Like,
I don't mean to laugh, but
bro, that it really blew my mind, because I just like, bro, I want to be the conspirator to say, bro, you definitely aren't God, but you might not have been sent by God, right? But I can't say that, and I can't prove that. You understand what I'm saying? Him and the Lord might be trying to straighten his fate for some reason. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I just feel like, bro, looking at how much people, but they really is treating this dude like he was an angel, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. At the same time, he looked.
But suppose he was though.
That I ain't gonna lie. You joking, but that might be true though. You see what I say? Like, because you remember he was just talking about how it was a text in the New Testament where they was talking about hospitality or whatever,
First Peter chapter 4, where it says be hospitable and don't grumble.
Right, but another text it was saying like how sometimes you could be entertaining angels type of vibe. You know what I mean? So like that, I wouldn't rule that out 100%. Although I still don't believe that's what was happening at all. But like, let me describe him to you. He looks like a man that has been walking for months. You see what I'm saying? Like you see what I'm saying? Like
I
bears
say,
going out.
whatever
Like,
you picture that be, that's him.
you see what I'm saying? Like it's like when Forrest Gump. You remember at the end when Forrest Gump was just running? It's like that,
Run,
bro.
Forrest, run.
Yeah, you said no. I talking about. That's dumb for me to say that, but he was running. He was running the whole movie. But it was a time. Oh man, everyone me love this movie, by the way. Sorry, I don't know if I put no business out there like that, but it was a time when Forrest Gump was just running aimlessly, and a group of people, nomadic people, started following him, and he just was running, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like he wasn't running from anything. He was like jogging, just running, dog. Like it's kind of like that. But like to see people, I'm gonna say deify them, but it's almost like how people worship celebrities, bro. Like that's kind of like how they're treating them. And I'm like, bro, I wonder if the enemy sent you to do this so that you could distract people. I don't know, but people just get so spiritual.
But I think it just boils back down. In that case, it's like by their fruits you will know them, right? Because like while you were saying that, the thought that was popping in my head was like, imagine when Jesus came about, right? And granted, we believe Jesus was the Son of God, fully God, all that other stuff that could be accomplished for a different day, right? But imagine you being a religious leader at the time, and this guy come in breaking the laws that you have established, right? Some of them, like some like these laws, right? And suppose you, as a member of the Sanhedrin or what the next one name, Sadducees and
On the fire season.
yeah, Pharisees, right? And you like, but suppose the enemy send you right now because you really causing an uproar, right? But then you think in my head, but by their fruits you will know them. So now you can say the same thing about someone who the enemy might have sent and who God sent, but like it's like what are the results of their actions? Which one is more leading you towards God? Which one is not? Now I don't know the full story behind this guy, but it's like goes back to the thing. Like by their fruits you will know them. You'll by like what they're doing, you can see what is coming from it.
And this man was a very humble man. Always, everything I see from him and hear about him, he was putting God first, bro. Understand what I'm saying? Like he's very clear that he's a man, bro. Like you see what I'm saying? Like putting God first, bro. Like, and he was sticking to his faith walk, exercise type of situation. So I can't cry shame on him, but like part of me just was like, bro, like I do believe things happen to spread further confusion. You see what I'm saying? And so like just part of me, I just didn't know how to feel about that, you know?
And again, it goes back to like how ironically we probably started this episode was like the personal convictions thing. Because someone was convicted to do something and God very well may have convicted him to do that. You start to feel almost weird, and not saying that you do, but I'm talking people in general, right? From my perspective, right? You start to feel weird because you're like, wait, God convicted to do that. He didn't convict me to do something like that extreme. How was my relationship with God? So people start to like feel, I know that's when I start to feel like, that's kind of what it is. Like, because I feel like, wait, why are you taking this so serious? Then the next question is, why shouldn't he take it so seriously? You have that conviction, you know what I'm saying? And that's why the word conviction, it becomes such an interesting word. Because if you are convicted to do something, that means God is calling you to act, right? And if God is calling you to act in this way, who am I to judge it? But it's such I wouldn't say subjective thing, it's such a personal thing too. Because this is you and God's personal relationship. Like that's something like the world may never know. Like when Abraham was convicted to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like we read these stories in the Bible and God told this person to do this thing, right? But they did it, right? Even when it seemed against all odds. But what we really got to understand too is like this person had to accept what God was saying and then act on it. And in the accepting and the acting, you were convicted that what God was telling you to do was true and was honest. God told Abraham to sacrifice his son to him. You know what I'm saying? And Abraham did it. Like Abraham was convicted that God told me to sacrifice my son. Couldn't even tell his wife what he was about to do. You know what I'm saying? But he had that conviction from God that this is what I was about to do against all logic, against all reasoning. This is what God convicted him to do. And that's what it says. It's such a personal experience. Like, can't even rationalize it. Crazy. The story I actually wanted to talk about today, right, is, we good?
Yeah, we good. But I don't know for how long.
But, like, the story of Desmond Doss, right? And quick synopsis for people who, like, don't know about him. He was a World War II, essentially war hero, right? but it's not in the war hero in the sense that you would think. He was a conscientious objector, as in, for him, he did not want to carry a gun. Think about it. This guy is a war hero in Raw, but he did not want to carry a gun. Nor did he carry a gun. And backstory, he was at Venice. There's a movie on Netflix now. It came out like in 2016. It was in theaters. It was a big deal. But he was at Venice, who was convicted in his heart that he should not kill anyone. But he wanted to go to war, and in the movie, it kind of gives some of his backstory. If you get his book, it kind of gives some of his backstory, because when he was younger, him and his brother got in a fight, and he hit his brother in the head with a rock. And he almost killed his brother. True King enables that. So from then, he was like, bro, I ain't never taking up arms against no one. I just gonna be able to preserve life. But in this big, World War II patriotic moment, you want to help defend your country. You want to fight.
No, but we can get the new it, bro. Ain't nothing we can do.
We lost our visuals, right?
Sorry.
But he wanted to, like, in this patriotic moment, he wanted to like defend this country, right? So what did he do? Signed up to go to fight in World War II. And in his sign up form, he say, I am going to be a conscientious objector. Like, that's actually something you actually could tick, right? But man, as you go through the movie, you realize how much persecution, I want to say, he went through, hazing, because it shows like he went there when it was time to go gun, friending up with everyone cool with it, you going through training. You in an army, World War II is something about to go to war, so naturally it's going to come to you have to hold a gun. Everyone goes to grab the gun, he didn't grab it. The sergeant, recruit, what's happening? Either I dumb or you stupid. Like, what you mean you ain't getting this gun? Like, is it the wrong size? It's not for your liking. Like, what happened? He's saying, sir, sorry, I'm a conscientious objector. He said, I don't hear you properly. What you talking about? I'm a conscientious objector. So they go to the captain. The captain saying, sir, young man, are you defying my orders? He's saying, no, sir, but I'm a conscientious objector. He said, I'm telling you to go pick up the gun. Are you defying my orders? He's saying, well, sir, I'm a conscientious objector. He said, there must have been a mistake. He's saying, son, the army, there is no mistakes. Right? So now this guy, he's saying, sir, I don't want to go to war and take lives. I want to help save lives. He says, sir, you do know you're going to war, right? And so, I mean, I don't want to kill the movie for people, right? But anyway, long story short, right? Bro, like he goes back to his unit now, his training unit. The captain say, well, guys, let me introduce you to Mr. Like our recruit Desmond Doss, who feels that he's not going to carry a gun. He's not going to be able to defend you guys when you go to war. He's not going to be able to have your back. Bro, this guy get beat up from the people. The same captain, the same sergeant who's in charge of the thing, I'm like, was just throwing hurdles at him, every type thing. But he went through it, bro. He went through it. But then, so much so, bro, he's supposed to get married, bro. He's supposed to get married. On his wedding day, they put him in jail.
Wow.
Because he's supposed to go back home because they're supposed to get leave.
Yeah.
Like, you get it's just like back home in the defensive police force. You in training for a couple of months, then they give you the leave to go home for the weekend. He's supposed to get married that weekend. They say no because you don't want to carry the gun. We ain't letting you go. Bro, and he was in jail. His wife, thank God, knew sick, but he would be here. Something have to be wrong. She gone to base looking for him. And she even wanted him like, why don't you just pick up the dying gun?
And just don't use it.
Yeah, like, why just don't pick it up? He say, yo, it ain't even about the gun at this point. It's essentially, but it's like about my conviction. Like, who would I be if I already know I'm convicted to do something just to do it to please other people at this point? Anyway, bro, there's what to send him away for life, bro. Anyway, his daddy was a World War I veteran who had connections. Yeah. The funny thing is, his daddy didn't even want him to go to war. Oh. Because his daddy had lost his friends in war. And his daddy told him, you about to go to war and you're saying you don't want to pick up a gun, this makes no sense. Yeah. Like you setting up yourself for failure. But anyway, his daddy ended up pulling up some strings, get like a letter from like the 4-star general, the brigadier general, who ended up saying, anyway, the guy's a conscious objector. He's well within his rights to not carry a gun, and you all can't stop him. Like this comes from the big boss, right? But his daddy fight his way into the because he wasn't even supposed to get into like the army courtroom at that point. So like, and he ended up going to war. No gun, no nothing, bro. And this is what the crux of the story was. So now it was this place in Japan. The movie called Hacksaw Ridge, but it was like actually like Hayakayu Ridge or something. It was like 400 meters. It was 400 like feet tall, bro.
Whoa.
Big long thing. And both like it's so the I know I'm making this long, right? But let's talk about personal convictions. The army had to get up to the ridge. The Japanese had it up top there. They had like that was their territory. They go on top of the ridge, right? Granted, he entered the army as a medic, saving lives. It was his thing. He entered the army as a medic. In the heat of fire, bro, the Japanese was they was kicking their butts, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They called it like Hacksaw Ridge for a reason. Then in real world, they call it like the mountain of steel. Like, bro, that's just how much people was just dying up there. So much so that the American army retreated. Right? They retreated and they called in like for a naval bombarding on it because they were just losing. He didn't retreat. This song, like you laugh, right? But let me show how serious this is, right? He stayed up there by himself because he didn't retreat because he there was people he still had to save up there.
Mm.
Everyone left that night, bro. He was up there himself under fire, just literally saving people and lowering them down with his bare hands on a rope, 400 feet.
Mercy.
His prayer, and he was saying this himself, like even outside the movie, but they had a little clip from him, and then his bucket's prayer would say, Lord, let me just save one more. Because he saved over 75 people that night.
Wow.
By himself, under gunfire, lowering them down the mountain, bro.
Bro, that is crazy.
The same sergeant who was bullying, but he's the same people who was hazing him. Mm-hmm. He was all part of the same battalion. The same sergeant who literally pretty much turned the whole battalion against him.
Yeah.
Bro, he dragged the sergeant, like it's a sergeant couldn't move, right? Bro, he dragged the sergeant behind him on his back while people was firing at him, bro.
What does it?
While they was firing at him, because he had to be open at this point. They was firing at him, and he lowered the sergeant down. Bro, and this, when the sergeant got down to the bottom mountain, he was telling the people because they was put the drive. He said, "No, Doss is up there. We have to he was only him one. Like they under attack. We have to go get him." You know what I'm saying? But and it's so powerful that anyway, he ended up living. Thank God, ended up coming down the mountain, right? But then 2 days later, they go back, right? Bro, and the same people who didn't want to go to war with him didn't want to go back up the mountain with him. Because they were saying, bro, we know this someone who ain't gonna leave us. Because when everyone else retreated and we were still up here alive, dying, someone without a gun stayed up here and actually made sure we stayed alive. And that was just so crazy to me, bro. Like,
because, bro, truthfully, bro, you write off certain situations as a lost cause, bro.
Exactly. That's
like
literally what they did.
Y'all already wounded. You know what I'm saying? We are not. Like, it's like, bro, like the inevitable is about to happen. Let's limit more people from getting hurt. So let's retreat. You see what I'm saying? But this dude, like, no, they hurt, but they ain't dead, bro. Like,
bro, and it's so crazy, right? Because the next day they want to go up was a Sabbath. And the same captain who was saying, sir, you're going to defy my orders, came to me and saying, Doss, I know tomorrow is your Sabbath, but I have a group of men who refuse to go on top of this mountain without you. But I say all that to say, right? It really shows how powerful your personal convictions can be. You know what I'm saying? And how when you actually stand for something, you don't fall for anything. And how even in the face of persecution, bro, because just imagine, right? During training, they wanted him to drop out. They was doing everything in their power to make him drop out. The sergeant was even saying, Doss, why don't you just quit? Why are you going through all of this? Why don't you just quit? And he would not snitch. He would not, bro, they beat him to a pulp. Bro, the captain coming the next morning, bro. He bloodied, bruised. And so the captain say, Doss, are you okay? Doss say, yeah, I'm everything all right. He almost fall down, right? The captain was like, wait, the sergeant was like, I gotta address this. Like, he's like, Doss, who attack you? Captain, I know what you're talking about. I just had a bad fall. He said, Doss, are you sure? He said, well, I got watch in about like an hour, Captain. I gotta go. But he wouldn't snitch on no one, but he just took it. But I'm like, think about it. If he had dropped out, if he had just picked up the gun, right? What a less powerful story it would be.
Yeah, and these people would have died.
They probably would have died because
Yeah.
God was like, I wanted to do something good through you. I gave you the conviction for a reason. I wanted you to stay true to me for a reason, because through you, other lives would be saved. Through you, your story would be told. Through you, other people would be blessed. But that's through that personal conviction that he had with God.
That's beautiful, bro.
So yeah, I'll tell you, watch the movie. Like,
No,
and trust me, like,
I definitely
even
will,
though I
bro.
say how it's a movie, but when you actually go through it, bro, and you actually see these stuff, you're like, bro, what?
I've heard this story multiple times. Like I've heard people. I kid you not. My wife probably like a week ago mentioned it was like, oh, it's on Netflix. I gotta watch it again. Like she had already watched it, so like I understand. I already understood the gist of it, but this is remarkable, bro.
Right. It's just crazy, man, because like it reminds me in, excuse me, like First Peter, like when he was essentially talking about like, you will be persecuted for me, but like, just remember, yeah, you're doing these things for me, type thing, and man, it reminds me of what people went through in the early church. It reminds me of what we may go through in the future, or our kids, or our grandchildren, or whoever, like, who knows, 100 generations from now, whenever like that time of trouble or that time of intense persecution really does come back. But man, to go through that and to know that you have the truth and to stick to it throughout all odds, bro, like what that actually looks like. You know what I'm saying? You don't know why you're going through this. You don't know why you're being persecuted, because everything you're doing is right. You ain't hurting nobody. You really just want to do good, bro. Like, why? Like, he was like, bro, I'm a medic. I just want to be a medic. I just literally want to save lives, bro. Like, I don't really need to fire a gun for real.
Right.
Like, what your problem is, bro? I literally just want to help people. Like, you doing everything right, but everything going wrong. But are you still gonna stand for what you believe? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. Like that just really touched me. It's kind of weird because I ain't the emotional guy, but like it just really touched me, bro. Because I'm like, bro, like it's such a powerful story, and just to see, like, and to me, like, I don't know, I really like, I truly respect when people, like, in the face of adversity, in the face of all odds, you stuck to what you believe and you're rewarded for it. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing: this time it was a beautiful ending, right? But not all times it is. But you stood up for something and put your neck out there, and you didn't compromise your values, man. And I know we done over an hour at this point, right? But like, I feel like the church today, this could be a very unpopular opinion, right? But I feel like the church today, like, man, our standards have just been like compromised to like an extent, like what do you truly stand for? You know, I'm talking like mainline Christianity, you know what I'm saying? Like, I talk about us in general, but like as a whole, like Christianity as a whole, like the standards just being compromised. And again, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. The opposite of the opposite of believing in God is not believing in nothing's believing in anything. And I feel like we have adopted a lot of anythings.
Oh yeah.
Right in the church, and it shouldn't be that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a long-standing principle in the church that, you know, we love the sinner but don't accept the sin. And to me, that should go across for everything. Like, I mean, people use it for like LGBTQ things or whatever, right? But I'm just talking about lying, adultery, and like all these other stuff. Like, these shouldn't be common practices in the church.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? These shouldn't be rampant things in the church. Like, again, the church is a place for broken people. A church where we come, a place where we come together and be healed and grow together in Christ. But again, it's a place where we should be able to hold each other accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a place where we should be able to hold each other accountable. And if you can't hold yourself accountable and each other accountable and not feel so judged and judgmental, like, granted, yeah, people ain't perfect, but like, come on, I don't know. I feel like I rambling out at this point, but.
No, I get you, bro. It's like going to a hospital. They give you all the medication, you take it and then spitting it out. You know what I mean? I ain't digesting. You know what I mean? I ain't taking my meds to get better. And by meds, I talking about like God, the Bible, the Holy Spirit, like just right and wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of times people make it seem like you come to church, you become a Christian, and you just, it's like a, like, and God just wash away everything. Like you just a new person, like type of situation. But the Bible says that faith without works is dead. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Lord the Lord gives us the strength. And the Lord does take things away from us. Like people who say they struggle with like addiction and all type of things, you know what I'm saying? They find Jesus and now, you know, they no longer struggle with these things. But at the end of the day, we could have the faith that the Lord is going to, you know, provide for us, help us with this, whatever we're struggling with. But if we do not take any initiative, it is dead. It is dead. It's not gonna happen. Like we go to church all the time, but a lot of times we are not self-reflective. We do not look at the scripture and say, let's like you read the scripture, you see Sennacherib, right? And then you see Hezekiah, right? A lot of people think they Hezekiah. A lot of people don't know that they Sennacherib. You could be Sennacherib, bro. Like last week, this week we supposed to talk about Hezekiah and his illness or whatever, right? I commend Hezekiah. Well, I guess I commend Hezekiah because he was able to say, Lord, I've been good. You know what I'm saying? It's like when Job is telling his friends, I have not done anything. Like this is, I want y'all to just trust me on this, bro. Like this is not a curse of something I did, bro. I didn't do anything.
Joe, let's just set the record straight, guys. Like don't bring this up again. Like, I tired of y'all talking about this.
Right, but even me, I wouldn't have believed that, right? But it's like I can't believe how Job could say he ain't do nothing, because in my mind it's like everybody is doing something though. Like what I mean? Like everybody just perpetually sinful. But no, it don't have to be like that, bro. It's like your biggest sin today might be covetousness. Bro, you and God could work on that to the point where you could, a year from now, months from now, days from now, you could say, my biggest sin used to be covetousness, bro. This is my testimony, bro. I was just watching something on Netflix. It was related to this guy who was a Hindu, and he so-called unlocked this ability XYZ, right? When you look at when you read up on these type of people who do meditation, bro, but like it's amazing some of the things that they're able to accomplish, right? But it's like with us, we thinking that we just say, I get baptized, and instantly these things just go away with no effort from Nakhaz, bro. And a lot of times we ain't gonna know that we struggling with this thing if we just ain't being honest with ourselves, bro. Like I have family members, bro, love them to death, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. But they been to church been Adventist longer than I was alive, bro. Have character flaws, bro, that affect a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And I really sit and think about it like, bro, how could you go to church every week and it's like you can't get the log out your eye, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, bro, like it always used to fascinate me. The older people in church who used to be so hard on young people, right? And it's like you could see, like I ain't trying to be messy, bro, but it would be an older person in church, and they very hard on young ladies, or your skirt too short, this and that and the third. But it's like we could see based on your children that you wasn't always this Mother Teresa type person. You see what I'm saying? Like, and when I say children, I talking about like they might have like a bunch of different daddies type of situation like that. You know what I mean? And so it's like we could clearly see that, right? And it's like, bro, could you be honest, bro? Could you say, yo, mom, I was like that. You know what I mean? I was fast. Not saying that this person was fast, but if they was, could you say, I was fast? You know what I mean? That ain't the life you're trying to live. That ain't a godly life in Christ. I had to learn that the hard way. But I come and I giving you the game. Learn from my mistakes and don't make your own mistakes type of situation. If we can be transparent instead of saying, y'all need to wear a shirt.
Coming from the holier than thou perspective.
Coming from the holier than thou perspective, bro. Yeah. But the problem is, a lot of people, they ain't even overcome a lot of stuff, bro. Sometimes people are still up they saying baggage.
They masking it.
They masking it, dog. Like you see they saying and they masking it and they coming off as they better, bro. Like that's why Jesus used to call out the Pharisees so much. Jesus didn't used to walk around just calling out people, bro. Like the disciples, they used to argue. They was jealous of each other, bro. They arguing who could be at Jesus right on. Who could Jesus didn't used to walk around and say, but y'all need to work on that jealousy thing, bro. But when the time was fitting, Jesus addressed it. But it wasn't always, hey, this, that. Jesus didn't walk around. But Jesus, I tell people all the time, if Jesus walked around pointing out everybody's flaws, bro, he would have not had time to get anything done. His ministry, he probably would have just been finishing up his ministry if, you know what I mean? If he had to stop and say, bro, Peter, you thought about another woman the other day. You married Peter. You know better than that. You thought about another woman. Judas, you was a thief and you was a liar. You know what I mean? like the sons of thunder. Y'all
need to work on this temple.
y'all need to work on your temple. You and your daddy, bro. Your daddy like that and all. But y'all the sons of thunder. You know what I mean? Like for real, but we don't see that documented in the gospel where Jesus used to just hounding down people. You understand what I'm saying?
And again, if we were perfect, he wouldn't have had no reason to come back and die.
Fox. Straight up.
Like, if you really think about it. So again, to your point, like, I don't know if you finished.
No, I finished.
Because, yeah, man, put it this way. Like, I was telling the guy at work today, right? Because, man, I had a busy week. I had a crazy busy Friday, too. And this guy is new. He needed help with something, right? And at the end of the day, I would make time for him, right? And he's like, yeah, man, I really appreciate it. And I was like, bro, honestly, man, like, I know it's a busy day, right? But, like, I always want to be able to help for people who need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I say, I don't ever want to be so busy that I can't help. I say, like, don't feel bad, like, if you have to, like, bother me or message me or something. I'm like, bro, like, I guess I actually want to help. I say, I feel like a lot of people forget where they was when they first began. Like, you can't just reflect on where you are now. You got to your point. You got to remember where you came from. I feel like a lot of people lose sight of where they came from. They only know where they are now. And I'm like, the minute you lose sight of where you came from, you just lose all perspective. I feel like that's a lot of people. Like, a lot of people have been in the church so long, they almost forget what it is to be an open sinner. And they act like they're perfect and they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you forget that you too still have to die to yourself daily. You know what I'm saying? So, man, and we should be lying this plane, right? But a lot of people, and this is a hard pill they don't want to swallow, they make church their idol.
Oh, bro, you don't want to get me started, bro. We could have a whole episode. I kid you not, bro. I kid you not. We could have a whole episode on that point right there, bro. Like, for real.
Like, oh my, but yeah, man. Like, I could give my thoughts from this episode. You could give yours.
Sure.
So for me, I think the biggest thing when in a roundabout way was just like convictions, and just how important and how intimate they can be. I mean, we talk about a lot this episode. I really like. I don't know. I feel like this one for the ages. It's been weird when people say that in podcasts, right? But I feel like this is one for the ages. But like, yeah, man, I think convictions, I think it's a really important thing. And I think it's something that you have to take serious. Because in a point I cannot prove or have done that much research on, but I feel like God gives us all individual convictions. Right? And things we shouldn't and should not do, and things he might want us to do, and things he's calling us to do. And it's up for us to actually act on those convictions. It's up for us to actually like see it through, because God has something that only you could do. You know what I'm saying? He's calling Nakhaz to do it. God has something that only I can do. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of times we might let people get into our mind and talk us out of what God has called us to do. You know what I'm saying? We get so wrapped up on what Susie, Sally, Tom, Harry, what they all gonna say. You know what I'm saying? We get like, how will this be viewed? How will the world see this? This might be an extremist point. People like, surely God can't be saying this. But like, God have a mission that everyone who listening to this, everyone who was born, God has something that he only calling you to do. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we can say like, God, if God doesn't use you, he can use someone else, right? But the way God wanted to work it through you, only you could have do that certain thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think we all have to take that time to actually listen to the voice of God, and which you can have a whole episode on it itself, but actually like have the courage to stand up and stick with the convictions that we have, and have the courage to like actually like choose like God's way.
Yeah, and I think it go back to the point we used to say a lot on the pod, know what you believe, why you believe it, and where it's found. I don't know, the past year, well, maybe like a little over a year now, I've been hearing people say just new stuff that I've never heard, like new theological points or new ways to debunk the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You might hear another religion say, hey, this is why the Bible false. Like even like our Islamic brothers and sisters who they want to disprove the Bible, they might show you a text in Kings where they say King Josiah was this age when he became king. Then in Chronicles, it might say an entirely different age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like it ain't, in a way I could know every defense to every question that comes out there, because a lot of times people make up their own stuff. Like, I can't argue your opinion. That's what we were saying off mic. However, I can't be cold. You know what I'm saying? I can't go into, if I have a conversation, even if I'm spreading my faith to others, I can't be cold. I can't be surface level. I need to be able to understand deeply what other people are thinking, like the way other people who are not Christians or other religions see Christianity, in order for me to be able to convey what Christianity truly is. So I need to be able to get past that barrier that they created in order to get to. Now, obviously, the Holy Spirit helps. You know what I'm saying? And the Holy Spirit is there to inspire. But me, I can't go there unprepared. You feel me? Like, and I feel like as all Christians, we need to do that. So it's like simple questions, bro. How is Jesus God? You know what I'm saying? Like if we talk about like Rastafarians, Muslims, Jews, and Christians, these are 4 different religions that all have very similar commonalities, bro. And it's all from the same like group of books, basically. Like there's variations with Islam, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to Christianity, Judaism, and Rastafarianism, it's mainly the Bible, like mainly the Old Testament. But how is Jesus God? Like if I talk to any of them, how is he God? You know what I'm saying? Like I have a friend who always on Facebook always says that Jesus don't exist. Like Jesus like never existed. You know what I'm saying? And it's, to some people, especially people who are learned in this, like that just seems like nonsensical to say. But outside of the Bible, how do you prove that Jesus existed? Do you know how to do that? You know what I'm saying? One person I just go to by default, Flavius Josephus. He was a Pharisee, bro. He was a Jewish historian, you know what I'm saying? And he also converted to the Roman side during the Jewish revolt. Not a Christian at all, you know what I'm saying? He, in an academic account of Jewish history, cited that Jesus existed during this time. He confirms what happened in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? This is a non-biblical source. You know, there are also other non-biblical sources. There's a Roman author, I can't remember his name. I'll say it on another podcast if I remember. But just know there are people from the Roman times, bro, that documented this thing from happening. You know what I'm saying? And even, bro, you could even Google like when Nero and why he was persecuting Christians and stuff like that. This was all during a very close time of when Jesus tangibly existed, you know? And so you made a point earlier about how a lot of people get intimidated to have deep debates with other people, you know what I'm saying? Because of like just the passion and the facts that the other people be coming about. You don't think that they're right, but they just more prepared than you. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? If we have the truth, you know, why don't we work as hard as people who don't have the truth? You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like as Christians, one, for ourselves, we need to study to show ourselves approved. The more we study, the more firm we are in our beliefs, the more we could be, you know, the less we would waver, you know, the less likely we are to believe outside sources and stuff like that, right? And then also, the more we learn, the more we could be able to help others and to relate the truth of Jesus from a non-biblical standpoint. This is the creator, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like when we are more learned, we do the world a service. We do our brothers and sisters, we do non-believers, and we do God and ourselves a service by sharing his word to everybody. Sometimes it's good to go off script. Like tonight's episode, we started off talking about where cultures and religions collide. That transitioned to a conversation on differences in doctrines, and then we spoke about personal convictions. But next week, we'll be right where we left off, continuing the story of Hezekiah. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.